I the a-hole for naming my adoptive parents as my parents instead of my bio parents in an article about me? This is kind of emotional for me, so please be nice even if I suck here. I'm 26 female, I'm all set to finish my PhD this year. Some of my published work has recently gotten press coverage in certain circles, and an article was even written about it in my hometown newspaper. In an interview, I was asked about my family, and I provided a picture of me with the people I consider my real parents, even though they've never legally been my parents. That's what prompted a controversy. My bio family is extremely religious, and they kicked me out because they thought I was gay. Not true, just a late bloomer. And an apostate. True, when I was 17. My grandparents let me stay for long enough to finish school, but it was rough. I was able to scrape by and cobble together enough scholarships for college out of state, but I had a breakdown early in my freshman year because I was so stressed out. In a big city for the first time, and I had literally nobody. There was a tiny restaurant off campus that was cheap and quiet, but I used to go there sometimes just to get away, and because the immigrant couple who ran it were always nice to me. After the lady asked if I was okay one day, I broke in tears, and they kind of just adopted me. They talked me through my breakdown and had me over for dinner and on holidays, and treated me just like one of their kids. I helped them with some things around a restaurant while I was in school. Their daughters were older than me but were friends, and I'm an auntie to their kids now. These people had no reason to take me in. We're not even the same race. But they did, and I introduced them as my parents now, and they call me their daughter. Once I'm established in my career, I plan to chip in to help them retire. I've kept some contact with my bio family, and the relationship has improved with time as my parents have mellowed out, and several of my younger siblings and other family have left their religion or become much less involved. But I can't forget being abandoned. They've been wanting me to come visit for a while, but I haven't. And when they saw the picture of me with my adoptive parents in an article, they freaked out. Their argument is that they raised me and they already apologized for kicking me out. So this is very hurtful. I think I wouldn't be doing my work without my adoptive parents' intervention, but they aren't my legal parents either. A lot of my bio family and friends are split on the issue. Some say I should have thrown my bio parents a bone since reconciliation is happening slowly. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. Blood is not thicker than water. Opie should tell them that she was born again, since she would have died without these people. Okay, make it a career, /spiritual/emotional death without them. So they are your career/spiritual/emotional parents. I mean, if your parents are reconciling slowly and you want that, then fine. Just tell them you wouldn't be here today without the adoptive family. And since the article was about your work, that your support family was the family that enabled you to do that work. I sometimes find that calmly and emotionally repeating a phrase wins an argument. I wouldn't be here today without them. They are my parents in that respect. And just repeat that line if your bio parents argue. Also tell them, I heard your apology, but I've not received support of any kind, emotional, financial, or life advice from you. Until that break is healed, I was simply the abandoned kid that found a new family. Not stay home. Forget bio for a second. Couple A kicked you out at a vulnerable age for no reason. Couple B scooped you up and showed you unconditional love. You were not wrong either way, but it's clear why you chose the way you did. Congratulations on your hard-earned education. Congrats on finding a true family. I think it's really sad that parents so easily discount serious emotional pain. They don't realize that the damage done may never be healed. They need to accept what they did and live with the consequences. Not stay home. I don't think it is irrational they got hurt, but they are in no position to demand any recognition. You survived and thrived despite they were your parents, not because of it. You could have been mistreated, dead, or in an institute. Check your language. They mellow down. Really? Don't you ever think that by wanting to reconcile or making a step towards it, you owe them anything. And now they're trying to guilt you. They should be begging you to acknowledge their mere existence. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blackmailing my mother and airing out her finances to the family? For quick backstory, my mother is a textbook narcissist, and her whole family has always tiptoed around her feelings since she had a kid at 15 and had to give it up for adoption, as my grandparents refused to quit their jobs to care for a baby. Her parents have literally bought her houses and gift her $20,000 to $50,000 a year. I, 25 female, and my fiancé, 27 male, just got our first home together. The down payment was $12,000, and my mom offered $3,000 towards it to help us out. I did not ask. She offered, and we would have waited a few more months, no problem. Anyway, this year my grandfather passed and she got well over $80,000 handed to her, so it's not like she needed that $3,000. Long story short, one of our appliances was on the fritz, and I told mom I didn't have time to talk because I was working on our appliance. Within an hour, my cousin calls me from my nan's house to say mom and nan are on the phone, and nan is saying things like, "Who cares if it's broken? Let her buy a new one. You just bought her a house. You better not give her a dime." Which, 1, it's fixed, it works fine. 2, I didn't ask for a dime. 3, I never said it was broken or had to be replaced. And 4, she did not buy us a house. This absolutely set me off. I sent my cousin our closing documents and it shows gifted amount from blank. I also sent screenshots of my conversations with my mom talking about this cousin who was recently visiting. Mom saying things like, she can't have an eating disorder when all she did was eat when she was here. I was basically saying don't believe her because all she does is talk crap. Look at what she has to say about you as soon as you leave, after acting fake AF all week. I found out mom has been telling her whole side of the family she purchased our home for us and has been sending us money for bills because we are so bad with money. I was pissed by this as well. I suspect this stems from her jealousy as I started working at her old job, surpassed her position, and not only do I make more money than her, they are paying for my BA to promote me further. After some super sleuthing on my end, I found out mom got $20,000 from nan the same month we bought our house because she needed help since she bought a house for her daughter, when in reality she spent it all on drugs and fancy dinners with men who don't value her. After I sent all my supporting documents and screenshots to the family with her bragging about a pound of weed getting shipped to her house and everything else she wastes money on, I'm now being berated and being told I'm the source of all the drama and I should kept my mouth shut. That this is essentially blackmail and I'm trying to destroy our family. I told my mom's twin this has been brewing for years and her family didn't do my mom any favors by letting her get away with everything since her teen pregnancy. And it's unfair to saddle me with the responsibility now. It's been over a month with little contact from my mother, and her twin still pestering me to apologize and include her in my wedding planning. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. What a disaster. Don't apologize. You had enough and told the truth of it all. I'd stay in no contact with them if I were you. Who wants that kind of grief in their life? Not me, and neither should you, OP. SMH. They clearly don't know what blackmail is. OP isn't requiring someone to give them something or they will do something. Not the a-hole regardless. I will go with not the a-hole. Mostly because you wouldn't be airing screenshots if your mother hasn't been lying about stuff in the first place. In a way, she was defaming your character and you proved it wrong. Your family's the reason for all of this, since instead of getting therapy for your mother, they kept paying her up. Your mother's twin is mad because you broke the status quo of letting Opie's mom have her way, stood your ground and proved her wrong. You should consider if you want to keep a relationship with these people and set some boundaries. I would also give back the $3,000 to your mom and send a transaction copy to everyone before she can lie about that too. It's easy to call it just drama when we aren't in the receiving end of countless abuse and broken boundaries. Not the a-hole, as I'm guessing you have had years of her gaslighting your family and knew you needed to back up your story with evidence. You're the family scapegoat. The twin is nuts too. She just doesn't want to have to deal with your mom anymore and is looking to dump her on you. She sounds like she hasn't emotionally matured past 15, as no one has allowed her. It is too late now. Free advice, just sit back and feel how much less stress you are under now that she is gone. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for giving my sister brutal honesty? My sister is morbidly obese, technically speaking. She's 100 pounds overweight. For a while, my folks have been concerned. When they've brought up concerns to me, I've shared my concerns as her doctor. I think out of fear of potentially losing her/her cutting off communication with them, my parents have said nothing to her. For the longest time, I said nothing, I figured it was a no-win situation for me, and just that my siblings' weight didn't seem to be something I needed to throw my hat in the ring on. Right now, she's unemployed, and my parents are footing the bill for her everything. Rent, food, entertainment, everything she does right now is paid for by them. Because they were redoing the floors and because of an asbestos problem that the apartment building management found, she just spent 10 days with me. I work from home, so we were around each other the full 10 days and I got to see how she lives. This girl casually ran up a $90 bill just in snacks alone. Her day is 3 meals, snacks, TV, and YouTube. On her last nights here, I decided to take her out to dinner. Problems arose when she literally tore the pants button off trying to get it to fasten. I don't know if she meant it rhetorically or what, but she asked, "Why is this happening?" I told her that it's because she has a poor diet and lives an unhealthy lifestyle. I warned her that if she kept it up, there were going to be many more clothes malfunctions down the road. I told her I was scared for her future. She believes I'm the a-hole for giving that answer and has labeled it as body shaming. I don't label it as such because I never mentioned her body and I never called her fat. I kept it about her lifestyle and her diet. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Body shaming is totally different, and people need to stop using body positivity as an excuse to be unhealthy. I do agree so much here. I was even accused of body shaming by giving tips to get fit to someone who was posting about being overweight since the lockdown. I just don't get it. Did a person ask for tips? If they did, then absolutely. If the person was just complaining and you offered and asked for advice, then yeah, that's an a-hole move. Sometimes people just want to shout into the void about something and be heard. It may or may not be part of their process of coming to terms with the situation. They weren't asking for help. They're just processing their emotions out loud, so to speak. If they keep complaining and don't ever take action, well, sucks for them. They lose the right to complain. If they complain for a bit and then eventually take steps to fix the issue, then it's just their process of figuring things out. Not stay home. We have a major problem right now in figuring out the line between body shaming and your lifestyle is killing you. Maybe you could ask her if there is anything you can do to help her change her lifestyle. That's a line that I guess I didn't toe very well. I did owe the suggestion of asking her if there are things you can do to help. I've been unhappy with my weight for a while, but only recently did I really get myself off my butt to do something about it. And it would be a lot easier with a buddy. Cooking healthy meals for one/by myself is boring. Same with going to the gym. If your sister is interested in changing something, whether it's food or exercise, offer to be on board with her. And I'm not suggesting a diet. I'm suggesting more a focus on healthier eating in general. Not stay home. Pants rip because they don't fit anymore. Only someone in denial will ask, why is this happening in this situation? She asked. You answered. I thought you answered quite kindly and in a manner that spoke of concern, not fat shaming. Hopefully she thinks about it. Exactly. The cold answer would have been, you got too big for those pants. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my husband passed out on our lawn? My female 30 and my husband male 32 have a toddler together. Our property has no fence. I was inside. My husband was sitting on the porch watching our son, and our son was playing on the lawn. All of a sudden, I heard my kid wailing and rushed outside. He had fallen and scraped his knee. I saw my husband head over before me, which makes sense because he was closer than I was. But when he squatted down to help, he fainted. The exact timing isn't clear. I don't know if he squatted and then fainted or fainted mid-squat. I just know he was passed out on the grass by the time I got there. My husband is squeamish. He doesn't like gore and blood makes him uncomfortable. I knew this when we dated, and I knew it when we married. He's fainted before. We dated in college and he faints at vomit as well. It usually comes through shortly after. We've been together 10 years, and I've seen him faint maybe 3 times, including this instance. Anyway, he passed out on the grass and my son was still screaming, so I picked him up and carried him inside. When I was dressing his wound, my husband came in a couple minutes later angry that I left him unconscious and unattended in our lawn. We don't live in a dangerous neighborhood. We're friends with our neighbors. He was dressed for the weather because he was sitting on the porch outside anyway. And we live in an area where the climate doesn't fluctuate too much. So I didn't feel there was a risk of hypothermia/heat stroke. It was maybe 70 degrees and clear, which is why we let our son play outside. It only takes a couple minutes to dress my son's wound and kiss it better, so I would have checked on my husband shortly after. But my husband says I should never leave someone unconscious and unattended. I agree with this point generally, but if there is only 2 of us present and our son is hurt, I don't see what the big deal is. He thinks I should have left our son with him while I go inside to get the bandages and dress his wound on the lawn. Or take my son inside, get the bandages, and bring him back out to dress his wound on the lawn. I guess the last idea makes sense, but as a mom with a crying child, I didn't think about it that deeply. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole times 10. You never leave an unconscious person alone. I'm amazed by the number of Redditors who think fainting is no big deal, and who seriously suggest things like grab them a glass of water, get them some ice, make sure they're comfortable, then check on them in a couple minutes. I am kind of mixed on this. If my husband fainted at the sight of blood to the point a cut did him in, I would remove the kid first before trying to wake him up. Otherwise, he will just faint again. And I will still have a screaming toddler and a fainted husband. I really feel like Opie is in a no-win situation here. I'm surprised that so many of the comments seem to be glossing right over this. To me, it seems obvious that Opie's thought process was, remove bleeding child to avoid causing further issues, then check on husband. Do I think that she should have checked on him first? Yes. Do I think that she's an a-hole for it? No. I feel like this is a no a-hole here. I get why he's upset, but I get Opie's thought process. And I'm surprised there aren't more people at least somewhat addressing her mention that he has issues with gore. I'll probably get downvoted, but you're the a-hole. I don't think you should leave someone unconscious unattended even if it's just for a couple of minutes. That's long enough for the tongue to block their airways, and any more than 1 minute of being out is dangerous, and it could have been a heart attack or something more serious. You should have revived him first. A scraped knee isn't as risky a situation. You're the a-hole. Your triage skills suck. Unconscious human left unattended versus kid with skinned knee? And you prioritize the skinned knee? WTF? Plus, the whole post reads like the husband was outside with a baby. The child is 4, old enough to hang on a minute while you make sure daddy isn't dead. Am I the a-hole for ghosting my fiancé after she called the police on me and lied? I just need a place to vent about what happened recently and to seek advice on how to move forward. Me, 28 male, and my fiancé, 25 female, got engaged 2 weeks ago. We've been together for 5 years now. 3 weeks ago, I came home from work exhausted. When I came home, I saw her and her friend Mike sitting at the dining table. I went over to my girlfriend, kissed her on the cheek, and dapped up Mike. I didn't really think too much about him being there since I know him really well and he's known my girlfriend since they were little kids. I just asked him if he wanted a beer or something, but he refused, stating that he was here to talk to me. I was confused at first, but when I looked at their serious expressions, I knew it was something serious. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat at the table as well. They started talking about how close me and Mike were getting over the last few years and stuff. I just sat there flabbergasted. I didn't understand what they were trying to get at. I think me and Mike were sort of social buddies. If we were both attending the same social gathering, of course I'd hang out with him. But I never really hung out with him alone or made separate plans with him. I just told him to stop rambling and to get to the point. I was exhausted and really didn't want to beat around the bush any longer. My girlfriend asked me if it was okay if Mike could stay over for a few weeks since he recently got fired and evicted from his place. I told him of course he could stay, as long as he didn't make a mess and contributed to the household like taking out the trash, etc. He got up and gave me a tight hug and thanked me. Little did I know, this man was a filthy alcoholic. The first week things weren't that bad. He just kept to himself, did the chores I asked of him, and it was fun having someone in the house to watch basketball with. After that first week, things took a massive turn. I started seeing empty beer cans everywhere, his dirty socks stuffed into our couch and stuff. I confronted him about it, but he just apologized and told me it won't happen again. I told my fiancée, but she told me to cut him some slack, since he was going through a tough time and he would get better. It only got worse. I started seeing dried up vomit in our toilet seat, and that's when I suspected he was an alcoholic. I started seeing empty bottles of rum, whiskey, and vodka everywhere. I kept mentioning it to him, but he always gave the same response as before. My fiancé couldn't care less either, and that ticked me off even more. 5 days ago, I came home from work and my apartment reeked of alcohol. I just lost it. I stormed up to the guest room and found him drinking beer on the bed. I just went off on him. My girlfriend came over and tried to calm it down, but I didn't budge. I told him he has 2 days to clean my apartment and to get out. Otherwise, I was going to call the cops on him. I guess he didn't like what I said one bit. He just got off the bed and charged at me. All I remember is him ramming me into the wall behind me and me hitting my head against a sharp object. The next thing I know, I see an officer pointing a flashlight at my face. I asked him where Mike was, and he told me he was in a safe place where I couldn't hurt him. He and another cop grabbed me off the floor and dragged me outside. I saw my girlfriend and Mike talking to a cop. At this point, I'm fading in and out of consciousness. When she looked at me being escorted down the stairs like some rag doll, I wanted to tell her something, but my head just hurt too bad to form any sentence. I got put in the cop car and was driven to the station and put in holding cell. I kept asking them why. All they responded with is the "I have the right to remain silent" BS. I remember just sitting in the jail cell with my head feeling like it was going to explode any second while trying to make sense of what just happened. I remember dozing off and at some point and being woken up by a cop. He told me I was lucky they didn't press charges on me and I was free to leave. My headache felt much better at this point, so I could actually form sentences. I asked him to explain to me what happened. They told me they received a phone call from my fiancée claiming I was drinking again and got really violent, and her friend had just subdued me to stop me from hurting her. I was so confused. Like, who was drinking and who got violent? He just told me the same story again. I was beyond mad at this point. As soon as I got my phone back, I texted my dad to come pick me up and to drive me to my apartment. He tried to pose questions as to why I spent the night in jail, and I just told him to drive me home. I'll explain later. Once there, I just stormed upstairs to see if my front door was unlocked, and to my surprise, it was. Mike and my now ex-fiancée was sitting on a couch. I could tell she had been crying since her mascara was running down her face. She jumped up and tried to hug me, but I just pushed her off me and told her to get the heck out of my apartment. She tried begging and pleading, but I told her to shut it and to pack few essentials and to get out. She left after begging a bit more. I immediately called off from work claiming I had an injury and just got dispatched from the hospital. The whole day seemed like a fever dream to me. Nothing made sense. Why did my fiancé lie to the cops? That's all I thought about all day. She tried calling me a million times, but I kept trying to ignore it until I just couldn't hold back anymore. I picked up and told her to explain everything and to not dare even think about lying to me. She ended up telling me that after Mike knocked me out, they both started to panic. She was scared of calling the cops on Mike since he was already on probation, and this would probably end up destroying his life. She told me in the heat of the moment, she made a stupid decision to claim that I tried to attack her and Mike protected her and accidentally knocked me out. Her reasoning is that I could afford it, since I didn't have a criminal record, and Mike did. I didn't want to hear anymore and just hung up. She texted me all kinds of apologies and tried to call many more times, but I was done. After I started randomly throwing up, I went to the hospital the day after and found out I had a concussion and would be forced to stay home for the next month. I'm beyond hurt by this. Why would she choose her friend over me? Why did she try and ruin my life to try and save her friend? She tried coming over several times a day, but I never even dared to answer her. I've blocked her and everything. But today I got a text from her mom claiming she tried overdosing on painkillers yesterday and was in the hospital. All she wanted was to see me again. This has made me sort of regret ignoring her. I haven't responded to her mom or anyone for a fact. The only person besides those involved who knew are my dad and my mom is taking care of me at the moment. I'm really conflicted. On the one hand, I feel like ending her for what she did, but on the other hand, I still love her and feel like she made a genuine mistake. I don't want to feel any more pain. My life is a freaking mess, and by erasing the last 5 years of it, probably would just make me end it all. I don't want to see the love of my life being buried over me ignoring her. I don't want to force my poor mother to be my free caretaker for a month. I feel like it's my fiancé's responsibility now. I'm so done with everything. I'm literally glued to bed all day, and my laptop and phone are the only things keeping me sane. I start randomly getting panic attacks and start shivering uncontrollably. Please, what should I do? Am I the a-hole for ignoring her and making her idle? Should I allow her to come see me? Now for the top comments. Hands up who thinks she's banging Mike. She's definitely banging the heck out of Mikey. An unemployed, drunken, evicted mofo on probation. What a prize. Shaking my damn head. She definitely chosen wisely. Not the a-hole. Seen it a million times. These kinds of women crave validation and attention, and you can't possibly compete with someone who doesn't have to do literally anything all day. They can just sit there and give them attention and reaffirm all of the things they say until boom, second boyfriend. When Mike injured your head, they should have called an ambulance. By delaying your medical care and then delaying it further by lying to the cops and sending you to jail, they could have ended your life. And your month-long bed rest could be a result of you not getting immediate medical care. Head injuries are no joke. I would be getting her to admit everything via text and then pressing charges. Also, if you were arrested, there's now an arrest record for you. Not the a-hole. She's messed in the head and also probably banging Mike. You got lucky and dodged a bullet. She picked Mike over you. If you believe that she is truly suicidal, then you should call the authorities to where she is. Be careful. You now have a paper trail that you beat her. So if you let her come over, she can play the same card and you will go to jail. Doubtful she's really suicidal. Most likely she took some pills, but much less than a fatal dose in order to use her suicide to manipulate OP. It's a cry for attention. If she tries to blackmail OP with self-harm, he needs to call Adult Protective Services. No. OP can just continue with no contact and there will be no way to hear if she's thinking of suicide or not. Plus, block her family too. If she's living with them or in touch with them, they are the ones to call police for wellness check. If she is/pretends to be suicidal, he should just stay away from her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for being happy I won't be a father? I, 24 male, casually dated a girl, 23 female for like 5 months, and even though she was on birth control, she ended up pregnant. Now, I have no desire to be a father, so I asked her to terminate the pregnancy and told her if she did not, I would not be around during the pregnancy and would want to do a DNA test after the birth before I would contribute anything at all. Well, she decided to keep the baby for some reason, even though neither of us were in the financial position to take care of it anyway. I was very annoyed with this and broke off contact. At 4th month, she had a miscarriage. I was informed about it by her friend and was told she was heartbroken. Now, I have empathy for the physical pain she has to go through, but the result was very beneficial to me. And honestly, I was quite happy I no longer had to become a father. Me and my buddies went out drinking to celebrate, did some toast to the fact I would not have to be a father, and basically word got around that we had done that, which eventually reached my ex and her friends. Now she and her friends have been harassing me and my friends for being happy about her miscarriage. However, as I see it, we did not specifically celebrate her miscarriage, but the fact that I was not gonna be forced to be a father. And I feel like it's something that has nothing to do with her really. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? You get 2 judgments from me. Not the a-hole for being happy about the fact that you're not going to be a father. You weren't ready for the responsibility, didn't want the responsibility, and weren't in the financial position to become a father. But you're the a-hole for how you went about showing that happiness. Now, if you were to have celebrated at home and took a shot with your friend, here's to not being a dad, that would have been okay. But the fact is that you went out in public and toasted to the fact that this girl is dealing with a miscarriage. And that, my friend, is just in really poor taste. This is the fair assessment here. You're not the a-hole for being excited you aren't a father. You're the a-hole for celebrating how you did. Next time, don't celebrate the messed up thing that caused it to happen. Just celebrate that you aren't a father. Hopefully there isn't a next time, and if you get somebody pregnant again, you'll be ready for it next time. Also, just for the record, there are a ton of contraceptives outside of birth control. It's not just on the woman to use contraceptives if you don't want kids. Lol. You have to take an equal part in that. I always tell my brothers the same thing. They throw out the, but it doesn't feel the same if you use a rubber. But here's the thing, like I said, there are options for both women and men. And at the end of the day, do you want it to feel right and risk popping out a kid you aren't ready for? Or are you going to suck it up and further prevent a kid from coming into the world? Food for thought. Anyway, have a good day, OP. And please, if you get the chance to legitimately apologize, you should. If you don't want to be a father, then get a vasectomy or wear rubbers. You need to become responsible for your own birth control, sir. He is 100% responsible for where his seeds ends up. When he chooses the climax inside of a woman, he has chosen pregnancy. Even if she is on hormonal BC, has an IUD or anything else, he is choosing to risk pregnancy and deserves 100% of the consequences. If he does not want to risk pregnancy, he should get a vasectomy and or use rubbers. Yeah, it's completely irrelevant if their partner has an IUD or busy pills or whatever. If men don't want to risk pregnancy, they should always be wearing protection, 100% of the time. Last story. Am I the a-hole for using hall passes my wife gave me? Okay, I am in a tough situation right now. My wife had a 6-month affair in the 7th year of our marriage and got caught. It was a shocking and devastating thing, obviously. She offered me one hall pass for each month of her affair. It took years of marriage counseling to get back where we were previously. I used the hall passes my wife gave me at the beginning of the reconciliation. I slept 3 times each with 2 different women without my wife knowing. When she gave me the passes, she put several rules. 1. She should not know the use of hall pass unless she asks. 2. I should answer her questions honestly and in detail if she asks. 3. Protection is a must. 4. No emotional connection. I obeyed all these rules, and I'm going to be very honest here. It helped me subside the resentment I had towards her. That is just how getting even feels, I guess. Not that it's a great thing, but it's a fact. It has been 5 years since everything, and we were doing great. Last week, she decided to ask me about the hall passes out of nowhere. I was honest with her as she asked. I answered every question she asked. Maybe I shouldn't have been honest thinking now. She does not even look me in the eyes now and in a depressive state. I know this calls for another marriage counseling for us and maybe individual counseling too. I did not even remember the hall passes and women before she asked, but I feel like crap now. Was I the a-hole? Now for the comments. She cheated so you felt like crap. She felt crap and said something that would resolve her guilt and would make you feel like you got one back on her. You have gone and had a good bang. And she now feels horrible, like how you felt. So 2 people feel crap now. Surprise, surprise. Why am I laughing? She got what she gave you. I mean, she didn't even. He slept with 2 people with her permission and all within the rules she set out. She cheated on him for 6 entire months. Yeah, I was going to say, she cheated fully, emotionally and physically, and much more than 6 times. Letting him sleep with different people 6 times isn't even close to getting even. If he wanted that, he should have had a full-blown 6-month affair. What would that have even accomplished? If he wanted to get even, he should have divorced her. Marriage isn't something you keep score in for the behavior. Not the a-hole. This is why you don't ask questions you don't want answers to. Up until now, the hall passes were hypothetical. If things improved to the point of being great between the 2 of you, she might have had hoped that you never used them. But she asked, and you were honest. She can no longer pretend you haven't been with someone else. These are the consequences of her actions. She needs to come to terms with the fact that she started this. She cheated. She offered you hall passes. She could have walked away years ago after cheating. She chose to stay. I guarantee you, she wasn't thinking it would hurt this much when she made the offer. She was probably desperate and willing to do anything to get you to stay. I know you were not asking for advice, but I highly suggest you book the couples therapy ASAP. This isn't a typical case of cheating. You are both adults that came to an agreement. How you navigate your relationship going forward is up to the both of you. She didn't think he would use them. They were the empty words of a cheater. Yep, manipulative cheater doing what they do best, then getting upset over it. He still has no idea how much he cheated. Catching your partner once doesn't mean they cheated once. Doesn't mean they stopped cheating either. I love the no emotional connection rule when she had a 7-month affair. She's just an all-around terrible person. Yep, you can't have an actual relationship. That would be unfair to me. You're a totally faithful wife who would never do that. Honestly, I'd actually be angry as hell at her reaction. Why are you upset? Did you give me these whole passes believing I'd never use them? Were they a tactic to manipulate me back into this marriage? Did you never care for my feelings or the damage you did, and this was just another lie you made to get what you wanted? Am I the a-hole for not providing for my children's half-sister? So I, female 31, have been married twice. My first marriage was to Ted. It was short-lived, but Ted and I had 2 children together, James 11 and Maggie female 10. They are close in age. Ted and I separated in 2016. In our state, you have to be legally separated a year before you got divorced, if you have children born in the marriage. 4 months out of the year separation date, Ted committed bigamy. He got remarried before we were legally divorced. It prolonged our divorce by several months. In the end, Ted was convicted of several felonies and given strict probation. I told the judge I just wanted to be divorced. The courts annulled the marriage to the second woman because it wasn't legal. Ted stayed with the second woman, Beth, for 5 or so years to my understanding, and in that time frame, they had a daughter together who is almost 5. The daughter is under the mom's last name due to them not being married. So my children with him are his only legitimate children according to state law. Ted walked out on Beth and their child for another woman. Ted is ordered to pay the minimum in child support for their child, but remains voluntarily unemployed so he can avoid payments. Ted does not claim the daughter is had with Beth. Ted has told his new girlfriend that he has only 2 children, not 3. Beth and her family believe the lies Ted told them. Ted told Beth that I took his house and his money. Ted had neither of these things. I've remarried and the home we reside in belonged to my now spouse before I married him. My children live a drastically better lifestyle than child of Beth and Ted. My ex-mother-in-law, the mom of Ted, refuses to have a relationship with her 3rd grandchild, but gives my children lavish gifts and nice things. Beth and her family say I should split things 3 ways instead of 2. So the daughter can inherit a portion of what I've been leaving my children. They say she is entitled to it because Ted is the dad to all of them. The family has asked for money, diapers, and other things, saying I have a responsibility to the child, since all of the family Ted has favor my children. I have even been contacted by an attorney hired by the 3rd child's maternal family, who asked me to update everything so the child gets a portion. My dad died in 2019 and left me a substantial inheritance. Beth and her family want her child included in this. I feel like it's not my place to tend to a child I didn't give birth to, but I'm being called selfish because I said no. Because the child is under her mom's last name, they'd have to approach the courts to ask a judge to legitimize this child. As of right now, the child is not legally allowed to inherit anything Ted or his paternal family may have. I don't know if he's on the birth certificate. I'm guessing so because he pays child support. The judge mentioned that my children are his only legitimate children due to them being born within our marriage. So I guess he can pay support to the child still be illegitimate? My children carry his last name, which holds a lot with state law. Am I the a-hole for not providing for my children's half-sister? Edit. When Beth filed for child support, she told her attorney what Ted had told her, that I had taken everything he'd had. The attorney put in a request to have property included in the amount of support Beth would get. I guess like Ted and I sell or something. The DA in the county Beth lives in, which is like an hour away, had a summons sent out to me. I had to provide divorce documents, proof Ted had never been on the deed of my home, and a lawyer for Beth had dug around and found out about what my dad left me. The attorney tried to tell the judge that the child was entitled to a portion of all this because I had been married to Ted, but the judge shot it down. The lawyer also tried to say my children didn't carry the same last name, as Ted and I proved otherwise. I never had to go back because the judge knew they were grasping at flies, so to speak. Ted was ordered to pay Beth $52 a month, which is the minimum for one child with an unemployed parent. Beth doesn't work either. Ted works under the table to avoid giving Beth money. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Seriously, what the heck? I feel so sorry for the kid in all this having a total deadbeat father, but that doesn't make it your responsibility at all. Deadbeat dad and cuckoo mother. She wants her kid to have a share in OP's inheritance from her father's estate. Neither father nor OP are related to the kid. The mom is just as bad as Ted. Greedy and grasping. Not the a-hole. Stop engaging with Beth and her greedy family. You have zero obligation towards her or her child. This, and report that attorney to the Bar Association for even contacting you with such a frivolous threat. Or hire an attorney to send Beth and her attorney a strongly worded letter to tell them to get the heck out of here. Asking is probably legal. Demanding? Would it be? Because the lawyer would know there were no legal grounds. Yes, I'm a lawyer. We always know. But there are those in my profession that will use scare tactics, unethically, to obtain something the client isn't entitled to gain. This lawyer is hassling OP, probably because they cannot put this on the grandparents. There is no world under which OP has to share what her kids get, gifts, money, etc., with Beth. That probably includes an inheritance from the grandparents. I don't know for certain because I don't know where OP lives, but it is probably true if her kids are seen as the only legitimate heirs. It is Ted who is responsible for all three. His parents are most likely free to pass their assets to OP's children. Next story. Am I the a-hole for ending my relationship with my girlfriend after she revealed to me that she's child-free? I, male 33, have been in a relationship with my significant other, Tara, female 32, for the past 1.5 years. I've always wanted children, and for the past weeks I've been floating the idea to Tara. When we first met, I made it abundantly clear to her that I eventually wanted children, and she said that she wanted the same. Overall, I'd say that Tara has been a fantastic significant other. She's head over heels for me, and it is partially because she has never had a relationship last longer than a few weeks. However, since I've been bringing this up recently, she seems to like avoiding the topic, or will straight up change subjects. Lately, I've even noticed how her face just drops whenever I mention the topic. Last Saturday, I brought up the idea again to her, and she then asked if we could have a frank and honest conversation. I agreed, and basically what she told me was that she didn't want children. When I asked why, she told me that she didn't want to for reasons. She then started saying things like how she lied because it's tough dating people and being child-free, etc. I asked her if there was any chance she'd change her mind, and she said she wouldn't. Surprisingly, things went pretty normal. But I was thinking about this constantly. In the following days, Tara seemed much happier and more affectionate, and started saying things like how she felt so relieved that I didn't get upset or something. Honestly though, after thinking it through and speaking with my parents, I didn't think I'd be able to continue the relationship. So Wednesday, I sat her down and told her about my feelings and how I didn't think our relationship could continue. Tara was extremely upset, more than I had ever seen, and ended up leaving before the conversation was even over. She's been gone since then, and she's even left all her belongings at my apartment. I did, however, hear from one of her friends that she's staying with a friend who lives pretty close to us. She also stopped going to work and is spending most of her days crying and not even eating. I spoke with some of my own friends and they think I overreacted considering that I should have expected as much, considering Tara doesn't like talking about her childhood since she had bad memories about that. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. As someone who has no interest in kids, I find it difficult to understand why you would begin a committed relationship without making abundantly clear. Children is such a huge role in a relationship, and it's fair for it to be a make-or-break deal. I think if she told you prior to getting together and you acted like it's fine, you'd be the a-hole. Or even if she just changed her priorities as under, but she lied to you from the get-go. She said it was because she didn't think I'd stay around if she told me from the get-go. Guess I kinda proved her right, unfortunately. That's such a crappy thing to do. Like, yes, let me just lie about this major part of myself for 1.5 years so I'm not alone? Huh? If she wants her wishes of being child-free respected, she needs to respect people who don't. Yeah, it sucks. Part of me is thinking maybe I should just try being child-free so I can reconcile with her. But I've always wanted kids. The whole thing just made me sad. Not the a-hole. She lied to you to manipulate you, and it's a deal breaker for you. So you're totally justified in breaking it off. It's a total breach of trust. Don't let her guilt trip you into returning. This is why dating sucks. The most amazing chemistry can be spoiled by just one pragmatic reality. If she's not had a proper relationship before, then it makes sense that she's very upset. But it's her problem now, to be honest. I would arrange for her friend to collect her things. Yeah, I started discussing that with her friends. They said they'd come by sometime next week. We'll arrange a time. The whole thing kinda sucks. Yeah, breakups do, bud. Sorry you have to deal with this. Do you have some good friends and family around? Next story. Am I the a-hole for flipping out on my fiancé in front of a crowd because he keeps taking my brand new vehicle without even telling me? My fiancé Tom has a habit of taking my stuff without asking because he feels I should be able to do the same with his stuff. He's constantly saying, "You don't have to ask, just take it. What's mine is yours," whenever I ask to use anything of his. And he expects to have the same rule applied when it comes to my belongings. I never agreed to this. In fact, I have voiced multiple times that it's rude not to ask, and have voiced irritation when he uses my stuff without asking. When it comes to small stuff, I get irritated because he never puts my stuff back where it belongs. And then I have to go on a wild goose chase to find the item because he can't remember where he put it down either. He has ADHD. For instance, he forgets all of his travel mugs in his vehicle, and instead of going to grab them, he will just take mine until all the travel mugs are in his vehicle. But honestly, the main issue is money in my vehicle, if I'm being honest. If he needs something and he doesn't have the money, he will just take my debit card without asking beforehand because he would expect me to do the same with his debit card if I need something. More recently, I bought a brand new vehicle, and there are days when I wake up in the morning and him and my vehicle are gone because he's taken my vehicle to go to the gym instead of his vehicle because mine is far better on gas. Or he went to donate his old clothing the other day and again took my vehicle. Or he went grocery shopping 4 nights ago and took my vehicle. And last night, we had a bunch of people over and one of his buddies needed to go to the store. So Tom said he would go with him and he just grabbed my vehicle keys. I told him no. He just kind of stood there staring at me. So I said, "What? You're not taking my vehicle to drive your friend around." Start asking to use my stuff because I'm getting extremely ticked off that you take my vehicle all the time. And if you have my debit card, you better leave that on the counter too, because you're not taking that either. He looked extremely embarrassed and put both my keys and my debit card on a counter and walks outside. He comes back in maybe 5 minutes later saying his buddy decided to take off for the night, and then he went upstairs to our bedroom. Later on, when everyone else left, he said that I embarrassed him. That if it was such a big deal for him to use my stuff, then I should have brought it up prior to this. I told him I had brought it up, several times in fact, because him constantly using my stuff is really building a wall of resentment at this point. He has his own vehicle, he has his own money, he has his own means to do things, so why is he using mine? He said he lost his debit card. True, he lost it 2 days ago and is waiting for a replacement, and that he didn't feel the vehicle issue was even something to get worked up about, because I am allowed to use his vehicle whenever I want. He's given me permission, but I refuse to drive it. I've only driven it twice because I had to in the past 3 years. He says I shouldn't have embarrassed him like that, and I should have waited until everyone was gone to say something. But I am getting tired of saying anything. It's my stuff. Don't touch it without permission. I don't think it's a hard concept. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé is taking your stuff without asking is not cool. Tom keeps using your new car and debit card without permission. You've told him to stop many times, but he doesn't listen. You finally called him out in front of friends when he tried to take your car again. He says you embarrassed him, but you're just setting boundaries. Your stuff, your rules. This speaks and says he never respected OP's boundaries. I wish people would be better at understanding patterns. OP is just means to an end to this selfish a-hole. He does not respect OP at all. If he did, he wouldn't be taking her things whenever it suits him, knowing well that OP would never do that to him. Her words have no meaning to him. He just does as he pleases and she keeps hoping he'll change. But he won't. This is going to be OP's life in big and small things, until she has wasted years of her life and he has sucked her dry. He is selfish and has no intention of ever not putting himself first. Not the a-hole. He only heard you this time because he felt embarrassed. He probably still didn't hear her, might be butthurt for a while and then go back to using her stuff without asking. And if she brings it up, he brings up her embarrassing him, because he still doesn't get it. Doesn't want to get it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for making a comment about a woman's body after she tried to shame me and my girlfriend? My girlfriend and I got invited to this engagement party that my friend from undergrad has. I found out later that a girl, I'll call her Erin, and I went on a few dates with in undergrad was going. Normally, this wouldn't matter at all, but after I told her I wasn't feeling a romantic spark but we could be friends, Erin flipped out on me. She would send me tons of voicemails telling me I was leading her on. I was shallow. Not sure what prompted this. Never told her I didn't like her because of her appearance, and I wouldn't find anyone else but her, etc., etc. It's been several years since undergrad, so I assumed that she would have hopefully chilled out or have forgotten about me. Fast forward to the party, me and my girlfriend are mingling and my girlfriend is very nice and friendly, so she's getting along with everyone. I run into Erin and she immediately makes a comment in a snide tone. Oh hey, I didn't know you'd be here. Almost didn't recognize you with the dad bod. I just say hello and try to ignore her, but she's kind of following me for a bit. She makes another snide comment when she saw my girlfriend from afar by saying, "She's so thin." I always knew that was your type. And I ask Erin to please leave me alone for the night and she just stomps away. I find my girlfriend and we were hanging out and having fun until Erin comes up to us and makes a comment. Oh, Opie, who is this? My girlfriend introduces herself politely before I could say something and compliments Erin's nails. Erin doesn't even introduce herself and says in a condescending tone, "I wish I could pull off the dress you're wearing, but I think it only works for people with small boobs." I try to keep my cool because we are all way too old for this, but I became really agitated with Erin making comments about people's bodies. I snapped back and said, "I think it'd be difficult to pull off for you in the waist area. If you want to know where we got this dress, I'd be happy to send you the link in a bigger size." Erin immediately recoils. She doesn't say anything and leaves. Later that night, a few mutual friends came up to me saying they saw Erin sobbing and told them I called her fat and ruined her night. My girlfriend tells me Erin was projecting her insecurities onto us and she wasn't even mad, just sad for her. I admit it was not the most mature move I've done, but how warranted was my comment? Am I the a-hole? She can obviously dish it out, but can't take it. Perhaps you taught her a valuable lesson. It takes no more effort to be nice than it does to be a douche. Perhaps you taught her a valuable lesson. Perhaps not though. Considering she went crying to other people about how mean Opie was, she sounds like the type who thinks it's mean when done to her, but if she does it to someone else, it's just telling it like it is. Some people just lack self-awareness and empathy. They can only ever see things from their own point of view. I know someone like this. They're always only telling it like it is, or only joking. But when you say something back, they're suddenly a victim. I don't have the time or the care. Bye, Felicia. Not the a-hole. Hopefully you let others know she made poor comments first. But the fact that your girlfriend said she feels sorry for Erin and she's not upset, you got yourself a winner. That's why she's still the girlfriend. He's obviously not letting her go. And for Erin with her attitude, she doesn't deserve someone.